once again, courtesy of Reddit, we are going to be reading from the sub, Am I the @cash hole? A-hole. And so I will read the post, and then I will give my opinion on if they are or not, in fact, the @cash hole. Alright, let's get started. Alright, here we go. So, 39 male. Earlier this week, I organized a first date to be tonight, sometime after work. I tend to be forgetful and very easygoing for context. Last night, I suggested 7 p.m. tonight. She said she thought it was right after work. She couldn't do later. I responded saying, sorry, it probably was. I'm forgetful, but how about 5 p.m. then? She responded saying, should I be concerned? I'm looking for intentional dating. This isn't the most comforting thing to hear. I said I was serious about dating in response and not looking to string anyone along, but got no reply. This morning, I thought it was all a bit intense, so I called it off as I don't really want to walk into a first date already with argumentative vibes. Am I the a-hole? Friends suggested me being lazy back and easygoing suggest indecisiveness and indifference. Maybe I need to be more definitive. Okay, so there's 2 comments on this, but it's not letting me see them. Oh, it's in some kind of weird mode, apparently. So I will give my thoughts on that. So basically, he makes a date, he sets a time, and then he forgets the time. And so the date is concerned. And he's wondering, is he the a-hole for just outright canceling it? Well, really, he doesn't really specify if it's because he canceled or if it's because he forgot. But I'm guessing it's because he canceled. And my thought is, I would say, yeah, maybe he is the a-hole for this, because he made plans with somebody and he set a time, and he didn't take the responsibility to uphold that. He forgot. You know what I mean? You both had something situated and you forgot, but then you didn't just forget. You suggested another time, when after they already said they can't do later. However, they did not specify when they got off of work. Either way, so, that in itself is right. I mean, a bit of a red flag, I would say. Sure, it could be as innocent as he says, he's just forgetful. But it's a first date, you know what I mean? Kind of important, you know what I mean? You typically don't forget, that time, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Most people are kind of nervous, and they're kind of hyper aware of what time it is, you know what I mean? They're not going to forget the time. They might forget their wallet, they might forget something, but they're not going to forget the time, right? So that's that. But on the other hand, canceling the whole date is kind of, a little juvenile, because that situation could have become something they just laughed about on a date, you know what I mean? It could have been not quite that serious. It could have been he could have told her, the situation, she could have picked up on his vibe, and it could have been just like a little joke, you know what I mean? Something to laugh back on later if it were to have developed. But he kind of shot himself in the foot by canceling the whole date, you know what I mean? You don't know where that could have went. So to me, that was his own insecurity, and that's why he canceled that whole date, because I really don't think it's any part on that woman. I think she was right to ask, because when I first read that, I thought, is that a little passive aggressive? But then I thought, no. I think you need to get out those questions at the beginning that you might regret you never asked to begin with. concerning for you, that's a good thing to do. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, they won't say these things. You know what I mean? It's the first date. They want everything to go well. They see a bit of a problem, but, you know, they're not going to say anything. But that issue might keep returning over and over and over again down the line. And it's like, you could have already addressed this, you know, before things got too serious. So, is he the a-hole? Yes, I think so. Let's find another one, shall we? It took a while to find this, so, and I only want to do a couple of these because I'm trying to keep the videos a bit shorter, so, yeah, but here it is. Am I the a-hole for letting my mom stay homeless? I, 32 female, was recently diagnosed with autism when I was 29. My mom, 60 female, gaslit me all throughout my childhood, and only when I got away from her in later adulthood did I learn that I was right about being different. My mom being her, didn't buy it for a second and still encouraged me to prove I didn't have autism, even though I always kind of knew and wasn't insecure about it. I avoided her for that reason from then on. Last year, however, I found myself homeless and was desperate for somewhere to stay. My mom let me stay in her home, and I avoided her the best I could because she says stuff to me that is so mean. I couldn't imagine talking to anyone else like that. I was still friendly when she interacted, but kind of stayed to myself. She was a drunk when I was a child, and later I found out she lied about stopping the alcohol. I pretended not to know. Soon, my disability check was approved and issued to me. It was enough for a small townhouse I wanted near my best friend, and I applied for the home. I was scheduled to move in there by next month, but then my mom did something I never saw coming. My sister, 29 female, decided she wanted to downsize houses, and even though there was room at my mom's house for both of us, she wasn't comfortable living with me. My mom chose to kick me out on the street, where I couch surfed until my home was available. Now, my sister moved out and my mom has been evicted. I don't feel obligated to help her, and I told her as much when she called me begging to take her in. I was walking on eggshells while living there and got thrown out anyway. But my family now thinks I'm basically the devil. Am I the a-hole? So, let's take that in. Absolutely not the a-hole. I mean, I understand there's a certain sense of family obligation, but the way this woman has treated her is just kind of uncalled for. You know what I mean? It sounds like her whole life has just been like a constant strain of emotional abuse in some kind of way. You know, I can't imagine feeling different your whole life and your mother telling you, no, you're not. And then you find out, like, you know, I guess clinically or medically that there is something different about you. And then even after that, she's like, I don't really think that's a thing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you got a problem. And even in your tough times, she's still kind of a jerk to you. It just seems like she has no compassion, right? This isn't a very motherly mother. And she kicked you out. You know what I mean? She knew you had nowhere to go. And she kicked you out anyways, in favor of your younger sister, on top of all that. And so now she needs your help. She wants someplace to come stay. She wants to come stay with you. No way. Absolutely no way. You walked on eggshells at her place. You avoided her, you know what I mean, to avoid some type of verbal abuse. In what universe would it become logical for you to take this person back in? You know what I mean? It's just, you know what I mean? So, no, I don't think she is the a-hole for not taking her in. I think this is a good case of karma. You know, she sort of had it coming type of deal. You know, and maybe she'll reflect on her actions and think. Most of the time, people don't grow from these type of things, even though it's a perfect occasion to grow. And she doesn't sound like the kind of person who would. But this is certainly an opportunity for her to look at the things she's done in her life and why somebody she birthed wouldn't take her in off the streets. You know what I mean? So, not the asshole. Absolutely not. But what do you guys think? Are you on the side of the mom, maybe? Do you feel like maybe because she's family that she should take her in, even after all she's done? Because I definitely know people who would feel that way. You know what I mean? They think that, well, because we are family, you do this for me, you know? Yeah. Let's do one more because these are taking longer than I thought. Okay, here we go. Am I the asshole for telling my friend, am I the a-hole for telling my friend she went too far helping a senior citizen? For some context, I live in a very small town with barely 50 people and work on a farm all day long to support myself. It's grueling work, and I visit the town every day to visit some of my friends and give them gifts. Anyway, one day I was walking along minding my own business when I see an old resident, G, having trouble reaching a letter in their mailbox. Now, G is currently in a wheelchair and sometimes struggles doing everyday tasks. G doesn't like to be seen helpless, and they aren't very nice to most people. P, who lives next door to G, comes out of her trailer and immediately helps G take out the letter without even asking. Understandably, G is mad and scolds P for not asking if they needed help. After G goes back inside, P comes over to ask my opinion on the situation. I say that she should have asked G if he needed help instead of just helping him without asking. P felt hurt by my answer, but decided to apologize to G anyways. Am I the asshole? Am I the a-hole for not reassuring me that she did the right thing? So, I don't think they are the a-hole, by the way, but I do think they could have done both. They could have reassured her that her heart was in the right place, right? She very much meant well. She saw somebody who was struggling with something and thought, maybe I can help. You know what I mean? I want to help that person. I think that there are plenty of people who don't want to be seen as helpless and don't want you to just automatically assume they need help. There are plenty of people who are like that. And really, maybe it's a tough call from P's standpoint, right? Because you've seen somebody struggling to do something that most people can just do without thinking twice, right? And so you think, I want to help this person, stop struggling to get this thing. So let me go out there, I can do it. Wouldn't it be kind of a jerk move for me to just watch them struggling and not do anything? And that's where sort of the conflict comes in, right? Because in so many situations we're told, like, why didn't someone do anything? Have you ever seen those videos of something happening and they're like, why didn't anybody help? But it's like, okay, so I got a call in the middle of whatever the hell I was talking about just now. But my point is that P's heart was in the right place, but she should have asked, right? Because all you have to do is walk out there and be like, hey, do you need some help? Because I guess it would be weird for you to just kind of come up and then grab into this person's mailbox and get what they need. Whereas you could have just asked, like, hey, do you need help? Because you don't really know what they were struggling with, right? There's something going on in the mailbox, but you don't know what it is. They might not want you to see that thing. They might not want you to touch that thing, right? So asking would have been the right move. It would have been that simple. I don't think anyone is the asshole here, honestly. Except for maybe G. Well, not even G. Nobody's the asshole here, okay? Nobody's the a-hole here in this situation. There are fair perspectives from all ends. But ultimately, the writer of this does not need to feel like they are the a-hole for any reason whatsoever, because they're in the right. You know what I mean? They spoke, honestly and truthfully, and correctly. You know what I mean? And so I think it was actually really great of them to tell the truth, and instead of just being like, oh no, like you did the right thing. No, you don't have to worry about that. Being honest is honesty is the best policy, as they say. Okay, so my battery's low. I'm getting calls and messages left and right. I'm gonna see if I can do one more. But if I can't, this video ends after this. Peace. Otherwise, give me a moment. Alright, let's try going out with a bang. My light already died. Okay. Am I the a-hole for stopping child support payments for one child, but not the other? I have recently had some health issues causing me to be on sick leave. I am no longer receiving any payments from work, and it's just my wife's income. We have our daughter together, 3-year-old Charlie, all fake names. I have 2 other children from 2 previous relationships, 12-year-old female Annie and 7-year-old male Ben. Neither have court-mandated child support payments. We have just our own arrangements, which has been fine for years. Due to the decrease in income, we have to cut costs. We now only send Charlie to daycare for free periods, for the free periods provided, and are looking at downsizing. As per instruction, my wife is now sending child support payments for Annie, but not Ben. Ben's mother has started hiring a cleaner to help around the house, which shows me that she has more disposable income. I therefore feel that she doesn't need the child support. My mother is now angry at me for stopping the payments to Ben if Annie is still receiving them. I could be the a-hole for stopping the payments for Ben, but I still feel I can afford them and he doesn't need them. But I don't feel I can afford them and he doesn't need them. Am I the a-hole? Yes. First of all, right away, you have a child. You are responsible for providing for them. It does not matter if one parent can provide better or more for them. You still have to do your part, okay? You had a child. So, boom. You have a responsibility for at least 18 years, okay? To provide for that kid and give them something, you know what I mean? You're not in the picture, right? You're married to somebody. You're married to somebody else, and you have other kids. So there's not like they're going to be getting some type of emotional support from you of any kind, you know what I mean? So that literally the least you can do is provide for them financially, okay? And, anything helps, you know what I mean? Honestly, for the mother to be able to afford what she's able to do, hats off to her. Being a single parent is not easy. I don't know if she's a single parent, but he did not mention that she was married. So I'm assuming she's a single parent. And so her being able to afford the things she does, good for her. But at the same time, anything will also help. You know what I mean? And like he said, he got sick and he's on leave. And that's caused financial issues, right? But who knows what could happen to her? She's only got herself. So what if she could say she needs to go on leave? You know what I mean? She's got a kid that she needs to take care of. Meanwhile, you know what I mean? You're still paying child support for one of the other kids. You know what I mean? If it had been me and I had been in this situation, I just on a sort of morality level, I probably would have just quit payments for both because of the way it would have been received to either child. You know what I mean? Because at some point they're gonna grow up, or sometimes, yeah, I would have probably just canceled both payments for both, instead of putting priority onto one or the other. And if I'm being completely honest, didn't really specify what the situation was with the daughter, right? Like, he didn't say if, he just said that, Ben's mother's doing better for herself, so she can provide more for her son. But he didn't say that that was in contrast to what Annie's parents can do. So, again, I think it would have been better off for him to just cut off both instead of taking priority for one over the other, because that seems like favoritism, right? I mean, you can't really, I don't know. It's a hard situation to be in. But like I said, he needs to provide for his kids. He has to figure it out. But if he's going to provide for one, he needs to provide for all of them. You know what I mean? Just because that child's not in the household doesn't mean, they deserve any less. So, and again, it's your child. You have a responsibility. You have an obligation, actually. You know what I mean? So, and again, finances are the least you can do. So, you're on leave. You said you're gonna downsize. Figure out how you can downsize. You know what I mean? Like, if you have to cut what you're sending Annie because you need to give Ben something, then do it. You know what I mean? But leaving Ben high and dry. You know what I mean? So what are you giving? What are you supplying for Ben if you aren't even helping with, some type of financial expense, because you're not in the picture, right? You have another family. So Ben gets nothing. He's got no father figure. He's got, like, his father's not supporting him in any way. You know what I mean? And I think he said Ben was, 8 or 7? So, no, like, you're definitely a whole. Figure it out, my friend. You have a kid. It's just, part of being a parent. Obstacles come up, and you gotta figure out to provide for your kids. People do it all the time, and that sacrifice sucks sometimes, but you gotta do it. And that might mean radically changing your whole lifestyle, even your wife's lifestyle, because you guys are married now, so really, your problem is her problem, and so yeah. So that's my take on it. What do you guys think? That's really interesting. I've never heard anything like that before, where someone who was paying. I've heard people paying more for child support for one over the other. That happens because of financial situations. But I've never heard someone like they're not paying for one and they are paying for the other. At least not without like that being like something discussed between the parents already. You know what I mean? Some people are like, no, like, I don't need anything from you. Just leave me alone. Or, I understand your situation. Don't worry about it. I'm okay. And then there's plenty of times like where it's like, no, I expect you to do something for me, for your kid. And so just stopping it, it's outrageous. I mean, and who knows what. He never did say how much he paid, by the way. So that makes me wonder too. But anyways, that's my thoughts. It's I feel bad for him. He's sick. Hopefully he gets better soon. But picking one over the other it's sort of outrageous to me. I mean, I think in his mind he's thinking, I gotta do something for at least one of them. You know what I mean? Because with my logic, I said just don't either. Like my thought is, don't pick one over the other. You know what I mean? If you can't do both, then don't do either of the two, because that's going to cause a lot of conflict. Okay, but if you can pay one, then maybe you should consider cutting what you can pay for them, and they'll just have to be divided between the two, right? So doesn't that mean he has 4 kids? I think 2 lives with him from his current marriage, and he said he has 2 other from 2 different women. So he's got 3 baby mamas. 3 baby mamas, 4 kids. That's a very complicated paradigm there, but anyways, that's my thoughts. What are your thoughts? I don't know how many questions or how many of these I read today. I get to talk, and I talk way more than I mean, I know I talk a lot, but this video should have been much shorter. This was one question, and timer for this one question is at 16 minutes. So, like, what am I doing? But anyways, that's going to be the video. Let me know how you feel about these. Do you think these people are the a-holes? Do you think they aren't the a-holes? Are the simple cash holes? But yeah, these were really interesting. Here I am. I'm going on. So, until the next video, thank you for watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about these. And I will see you in the next video. I wonder if you noticed, like, the slightly different camera